So good morning, everyone. Glad to have you here with the CBN meeting. If you would please take about 1 minute, introduce yourself, tell us where you are speaking from, and give us a good referral for you. I will call you the way I see you on my screen. And for this purposes, I will start with Mr. Jim Shepard.
Good morning. I am a longtime member of CBN Group and retired a number of years ago and have been active mostly playing golf and doing travel. The last month I've been to Italy and I've been to Florida. And this is, I'm like Keith, I'm working on spending my children's inheritance, and we'll look forward to hearing from Damon this morning, who I've known a number of years. And we used to get up and meet at 7 o'clock in the morning, if you can believe that. And Damon didn't always appreciate that, nor did many of our group at that time. But I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's good to be back home, quite honestly. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Jerry Luco, please.
Good morning, Jerry Luco, and I do a few things, but the main area that I spend my time is with Franchise Business Source. I help aspiring franchisees find a perfect fit franchise business that gets them money, lifestyle, freedom that they've been dreaming of, thinking of, and maybe planning for, but not always. I'm based here in Columbus, Ohio. I actually work nationwide. And a good referral for me would be a commercial real estate broker.
Thank you, Jerry. Sharon Melendez, please.
Well, I'm Sharon Melendez, and I run a wonderful nonprofit organization called Illumination Station. And it's an educational storytelling interactive nonprofit. And we are working currently on building our app and our interactive website. And so learning to generate new stories about unsung American heroes that have overcome obstacles and made something with their lives. And so using that to inspire others to be the best version of themselves. A good referral for me right now would be a grant writer, but definitely donors. So.
Thank you, Sharon. Rhoda Israelov, please.
Good morning, all from here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And my company is Say It For You. My team and I write what you read when you go on our clients' websites. And the gentleman who really got this all started some 14 years ago was Damon Richards, because Damon recommended me to my very first clients, and everything went from there. I had a triumph this week in that you know that I've been developing Say It For You B, which is where my team subcontracts to agencies. And until now, all the agencies have been out of town. But this week we got a big assignment from a locally based agency, and very, very happy about that development.
Thank you, Rhoda. Adele Bush, please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Adele Bush. My business is ASB Business Services, LLC. We do personalized, customized, and exclusive executive telephone outreach, business research, and prospect development. We are a consulting firm. And what that means is that we can create a telephone campaign for you from start to finish. We can help you find the prospects. We can organize the prospects. We can reach out to those prospects all the way through to the point where you make the sale. I love what I do, but I love what it does to help businesses grow. Adele Bush, ASB Business Services, LLC, Columbus, Ohio.
Thank you, Adele. Nick Sullivan, please.
Well, good morning, everyone. Nick Sullivan, Sullivan Business Solutions here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've all heard the adage, ignorance is bliss, but when it comes to running a business, it's not always a good thing. But however, most owners aren't aware of a number of programs the federal government offers that could bring in significant cash flow. These are incentives out there to help businesses be stronger in the economy, create more jobs, invest in real estate. So you own commercial property, there can be a source of cash value. You hire different people from different groups like veterans or people from harsh economic backgrounds, those types of things, disabled. There could be significant incentives. I use the software. It takes about 15 minutes to identify possible programs, and those 15 minutes can often lead to thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even for small businesses. So a good referral is business owners with an open mind. They can invest 15 minutes. It's basically free money. We only keep a portion of the savings. Again, it's Nick Sullivan, Sullivan Business Solutions.
Thank you, Nick. Gloria, please. My favorite person, Gloria. I'm spending up my grandkids' money. You might as well do that.
Awesome. Good morning, Gloria Thomas from Columbus, Ohio. We hope you have a glorious lifestyle through Secret. One of the things we do is help people with their issues of trauma or I like to use the P word. I can't use the P word, but just their health in general. And I had a wonderful report yesterday from my doctor. You probably don't know my story. At some point, I will be sharing it. But since December, I've lost over 20 pounds, and it's improved my health greatly. I was told that if you lose at least 15 pounds, it would make a difference in your health. Trust me, I'm feeling it now. And congratulations, Keith, on your working out. That's awesome.
That's right. That's right.
A good referral for me is anybody who wants to improve their lifestyle and their health.
Thank you, Gloria. Mr. John Vandersall, please.
Thank you, Keith. Good morning, CBN members and guests. John Vandersall, residential real estate agent with the FC Tucker Company, Indianapolis. My office is in the Keystone and the Crossing branch. I service Marion County and surrounding counties. A good lead for me, I ask for this week is to bring me a buyer for a listing that I have in Zionsville. It's 4899 Austin Oaks, Austin Trace. It's a custom build, 4-bedroom, 4 full bathroom home with a full basement, about 5,000 square feet, 3-car garage, and it's priced at $725,000. So if you hear anyone who would like to move to Zionsville, talk to Tucker and call Vandersall.
Thank you, John. David, I was trying to let you settle in, buddy.
Yeah, and I'm going to go off video here in a minute because
No problem, sir.
Yeah, it's annoying. Anyway, Dave Garrison, I'm with Mutual of Omaha Mortgage down in Morgan County, south of Indianapolis. I work with seniors and their wealth advisors, real estate agents in leveraging housing wealth to do a variety of things in retirement, which could be sustaining retirement income, reducing risk, purchasing a new home, creating affordability for long-term care insurance. So I work with folks that are just arrogant enough to think that they have a better idea of what to do with their housing wealth while they're alive, as opposed to someone else determining it after they've passed.
Thank you, David. I know what I'm going to do with mine, so we're not going to worry about that. Hey, so thank all you guys for appearing this morning and spending your time with us. Our speaker this week is Mr. Damon Richards. Damon, you have the floor, and you are also the co-host.
Thank you. Good morning. It's been a whole lot of Thursdays gone by since the last time I was with this group. My name is Damon Richards. I am former IT guy. For 23 years, I ran a small computer consulting company here in Indianapolis. I'm speaking to you today from the world headquarters of Running Zombie Enterprises, which is my front office in my house. After I sold my business, in 2013, I sold my business. I made that decision while I was on a solo bicycle ride around Lake Michigan. And I had a day where I rode into a driving rain all day long. And early afternoon, I found myself smiling. And I thought to myself, this is really, really a bad situation. And then my next thought was, this is better than any day I've had to work this year. And the very next thought was, you don't ever need to go back to work. So I didn't. Although to keep peace in the home, I told my wife I was taking a sabbatical while I found something else to do. And during the sabbatical, I decided that I had the opportunity to do a cross-country bicycle ride, which is something I intended to do when I graduated from college, and the timing didn't work out. She agreed to let me do that, and I rode from the Santa Monica Pier to the White House all by myself in the spring of 2014. And the bike ride restored my faith in humanity and my love for America. And I came home with the sure knowledge that the best thing I could do with my time was to get more people riding bikes. And so I spent several years circling the bike groups here in town, trying to find where was the right fit. And that led me to a little not-for-profit organization called IndyCog. And IndyCog was the city's bicycle advocacy group. They were kind of in limbo. Their director had left. They were running out of money. They didn't have a real strong focus. So I offered myself as their interim executive director, and here I am 5 years later. We have changed the name of the organization to Bike Indianapolis to more line up with similar groups around the country. And Bike Indianapolis's mission is to create more bike riders in central Indiana. And I'll get into a little bit of that as I go through this slide presentation, which I apologize is a kind of crummy slide presentation, but timing was bad for getting it done.
Are you on Zoom? The button should
Yeah.
be down at the bottom or the top of the screen and should say share screen.
Yeah, I don't have a share screen. Oh, there it is. It's green. I wasn't looking for green.
It's a former tech guy. This was having people
That's
brain
right.
rots.
Hey, when I quit working, I said, I'm going from cutting edge of technology to Luddite. I don't want to know anything new. Bike Indianapolis. I kind of told you how we came to be named Bike Indianapolis. As I said, we are the only bicycle advocacy group in central Indiana, meaning we are the organization that advocates for making bike riding safer and better for everybody in the community. And we do that through 3 different legs on our stool, and I'll get into that. But quickly, some quick facts. Marion County, City of Indianapolis, right now has more than 300 miles of bike trails and another 300 miles of on-street bike lanes, which sounds like a lot. 600 miles, like what do you need? Well, in comparison, the city is 4,000 square miles, which is bigger than New York City. And we have more than 4,000 miles of streets, and that excludes state roads and federal roads. So 600 miles is a lot until you look at the amount of area that has to be covered. 600 miles is great for Keith to get out and exercise, but it's not so great for people who want to use their bicycle as a mode of transportation. So part of what we do on the advocacy side is we push the city and other government agencies, as well as for-profit and not-for-profit funders, to build out a bicycle network and make it stronger so that people can use it not just for recreation, but also transportation. So one of the problems we run into is, this is a great example. Our city puts in bike lanes, but they don't think about what they're going to get used for. So we end up with things like this. That's a great gate and you ought to keep it locked, but why? We have a lot of bicycle infrastructure that goes from nowhere to nowhere, and then the designers wonder why nobody rides on them. We have a lot of different kinds of infrastructure. And this is a hard fight. To put in a mile of bike trail costs about $1 million if you're doing it in the city. Now compare that to 8 to 12 million for a mile of street. It sounds like a good deal. But when you look at property use, in the United States, about 35% of a city's land is occupied by streets. Well, that's a lot. So when you say, well, let's put in some more for bicycles, that's adding to an already existing problem. We'd be much better off if we figured out how to use the existing roads and share them, which is a part of what we push. Separate bicycle infrastructure is a wonderful thing, and we want it where it's needed. But in a lot of places, we can use existing roads. So around our city, we have all these different kinds of bicycle infrastructure, and I've got a couple slides just to show you some of them. The upper right, that shared lane markings, they call them sharrows, the little bicycle with the 2 triangles on top of it. That's a way to let everybody know that this is a place where you should expect to see bike riders in the middle of the street. The reality is you should expect to see bike riders in the middle of just about any street, because in Indiana, bicycles are considered vehicles and they can go anywhere a vehicle can. Here's some others. Directional paint. You'll start to see more and more of this green paint on the streets. Green paint on the streets is the bicycle color. It's to let you know as a motorist that here's a place where bicycles should be expected. And also here's a place where you can interact with those bicyclists. So it's to let motorists know you can cross the lane here, and the bike riders should know that you're going to do it. You know, we live just south of Carmel, which is the roundabout capital of America. Those are difficult things for motorists to deal with on their own. They're even more difficult with bicycles. Buffered bike lanes are bike lanes that have some kind of space, usually just a painted space to separate them from cars. Protected bike lanes have a little bit more bollards or concrete barriers and curbs. One of the problems with our bicycle infrastructure is we do a lot of different stuff, and we call it a lot of different things. Shared use paths, which the Monon would be considered one of those. Two-way bike lanes, which our city likes to call a cycle track, which is going to be the preferred piece of bicycle infrastructure that gets built in the future. And then we add on top of all that, signs. There are so many different kinds of signs. What kind of happened was our bicycle awareness started with the time of Mayor Greg Ballard. And he just sort of set the DPW folks out and said, get me bike lanes. And they didn't really know what that meant. So they kind of, whenever one of them went to a conference and heard about some kind of bike lane, they came back home and built one. So we have a lot of different kinds of bike infrastructure all over the place, and signs. And we're working with the city now to try to set some standards and start to move everything in that direction. So that's the first leg of our stool, advocacy. We work to get better bicycle infrastructure, and that includes bike parking, which I didn't mention in any of these slides, but that's sort of that last piece of bicycle infrastructure. If you're going to ride your bike somewhere, get up someplace to put it when you get there. Not a problem with cars. There's plenty of parking spaces. There are approximately 4 parking spaces for every car in the city, even though people complain all the time that there's not enough parking. The second leg of our stool is education. We offer classes to the general public and to businesses that teach motorists how to share road bikes, teach bike riders how to share with motorists. We teach people to ride bikes. It's amazing how many adults never learned how to ride. And we teach advanced bicycle skills, not just road skills, but skills in bicycle handling. And we teach riders how to plan their routes if they're going to use their bikes for transportation. The problem with bicycle education is if you were born in America, I can tell you how you learn to ride a bike. Someone who cared about you held onto the back of your seat and ran down the sidewalk, then they let go. And if you stayed up, that was the end of your bicycle education. So nobody taught any of us how to ride on the streets with cars or even without cars. So we try to continue that education to make people capable of being safer on the roads. Some of that is really boring classroom stuff where we just sit around and talk. But most of it is live on the bikes out where we can keep things going. The third leg of our stool is riding itself. We put on a few events each year. Our big event is the annual Bike to the 500 that started with the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500, and has continued every year that they've had spectators as we skip 2020. We take between 1,000 and 1,500 people out to the track on race day. We're the only vehicles that are moving. Everybody else is sitting bumper to bumper trying to get to the track. It's an awesome time. It's a great big rolling party. We offer a few other events. We provide free parking at many of the summer festivals and events so that people can use their bicycle instead of a car and not worry about where to park it. We keep a calendar on our website of all the rides that we find out about. So if people are looking to go for a ride with a group, we can they can come to our website and find that. And a new program we started this year is we're working with community organizations, churches, community centers, community development corps to start their own local riding groups. And these are targeted at people who live in the neighborhood around that organization, short conversational rides once a week where people can get to know one another and get to know their neighborhood, and then perhaps advance to more riding on their own. So that's what it's about. It's getting people out on bikes. I tell people all the time, it is nearly impossible to ride a bike without smiling. That's biking in Indianapolis, and I'm open to questions. Top this.
Hey, Damon, if you'll release.
I did.
Thank you very much. I'm not a big bike rider at this time, but I might be. Look, I'm just now getting into walking. So.
Okay, well, listen, we have a program for you too. We started a program this year that I called it Bike Buddies, but we did it in partnership with Commuter Connect, and somebody in their legal department said that Buddies was too gender specific, so we couldn't use it. So now we call it Bike Guides. But this program is one where we take experienced riders and partner them up one-on-one with newbie riders. So that experienced rider will come to you and take you on rides in your neighborhood, starting with whatever you're comfortable doing, and then moving you out and advancing your skills as you go, hopefully pushing towards some target that you have. I had a bike buddy this summer, and this was a lady who had not ridden a bike for 20 years. And she bought an e-bike, and her goal was to commute to work. And she lived up in the Eagle Creek area, and she works downtown. And so I went out to ride with her. We rode 7 miles. It took us over an hour. So that's pretty slow riding for those of you who don't know. And she was on an e-bike, but she had never ridden on the streets before. So I took her, we started riding on the Eagle Creek Trail, which she was familiar with. We slowly moved out onto some of the less traveled neighborhood streets. And ultimately I had her riding on 34th Street, which is a fairly busy street. We did all that in an hour. 2 days later, she sent me an email and said, I rode 16 miles on the street and I was not afraid. So the confidence comes quickly. And we've heard lots of stories from our paired riders this summer, and we will continue that program next year. And maybe I'll do it without a partner and I can call it Bike Buddies because I love the alliteration.
Not a problem. Hey, Nick Sullivan, please.
Yes, what's the trend with young people? When I grew up, went to ball fields. There'd be a group of us all competing with their ball gloves on the handlebars or playing football. I used to see fields with all the kids' bikes lined up.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody. I hardly ever see kids riding bikes. I know parents are very protective. They don't want their kids. They're afraid of danger. They're afraid of them leaving their house. I mean, but I don't see young people riding bikes anymore. I very rarely see groups of kids. In fact, we had a neighbor who called the police once because 5 kids were riding bikes. They thought it was suspicious. They thought it was a gang. That's how weird it is now.
Yeah.
I don't see young people riding bikes anymore.
We're actually starting to see the pendulum swing the other way, Nick. When my kids were in school, they were not allowed to ride their bikes to school. The school district banned it. They were concerned about liability. I'm going to teach the kids at IPS School 70 this weekend how to ride on the streets so they can ride their bikes to school. So we're seeing the switch start to happen. And it was the era of helicopter parenting. And, kids were all scheduled and they had to be here on this time and here at that time, and they could never have any free unstructured time. But then as technology came along and kids started spending all that time in the basement playing video games, parents got more interested in getting them outside. And so we're starting to see kids ride more. And that plays into, I said earlier, there are a lot of adults who never learned how to ride because they were a part of that cohort that didn't get to ride their bikes through the neighborhood and go to the ballpark and those kinds of things. So it's going back the other way, and we're going to start seeing kids on the streets again.
Plus, it combats childhood obesity. I mean, that's good
Absolutely.
exercise, right?
Hey, Damon, quick question. The economics of these bike paths, $1 million a mile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure as if I'm a city council person, because I want to also talk about the utility rate. How many people, what's the cost per usage? Do we know?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. First, that $1 million a mile would compare to $8 to $12 million a mile to do a street. So it's a considerable savings. And one of the problems with bicycle infrastructure is until you have a sufficiently built out network, you don't start to get people using it. And that's, going back to the picture of the please close this gate. Our city hasn't thought in terms of building a network. They've just thought in terms of building miles of bike facility. So we have a lot of places where there's this beautiful bike trail and you ride along it for 3 or 4 miles and then it just ends in the middle of nowhere. And I can point you to several examples. And so nobody's going to use that. So it's like, I built this and nobody's using it. And I've had these conversations with city councilors. Well, we built the Eagle Creek Trail and nobody's riding on it. I said, have you been on it? Because you ride along and you think this is great. And then suddenly you come to a jungle. There's no sign to tell you, there's nothing, you're just there. So the city has in recent years started working on trying to build a network instead of a bunch of bike lanes. And we see that immediately. Last year, they added 23 miles of bicycle infrastructure, and all of that was connectivity. So you can now ride your bike from Fort Harrison State Park all the way downtown, all on bicycle infrastructure. And then once you get downtown, most of the bicycle stuff connects there. So you can then go from there out to other places. You could go up to Monon and all the way to Westfield. It's that network starts to happen. And right now, our network is still more of a recreational network than a transportation network. And that's the next push, is make a network that lets people ride to work, ride to the doctor, go to the library, go to the grocery store. I sold my car 3 years ago, much to my wife's chagrin. But everything I need to do, I can get to within 5 miles, and that's not a long ride for me.
Anybody else got a question? John, please.
Damon, thank you for sharing your expertise and time and insight. I've lived in just 3 cities, Indianapolis, Columbus, Ohio, and Chicago. My time in Chicago was without a car, and my mode of transportation was a bike. Went to the grocery store and exercised on that bike, and I had a similar ride where I was caught in the rain downtown. I didn't do what you did. I didn't quit my job. I put my bike on the front of a bus and rode home. My question is, I'm intrigued. So I did a lot of riding there in Columbus. I'm sure you've studied their models. They're doing good things there. Yeah, Adele knows. What's your take on adequacy of bicycle shops in greater Indianapolis or central Indiana? Bike shops, are there enough, and are they doing the right stuff?
We have, I'm going to get the number wrong, but it's in the neighborhood of 15 local bike shops. And there's a map on our website. Our website is bikeindianapolis.org. There's a map on our website of all local bike shops. I have visited all but one of them. One of them is out on the west side of town, and it's actually this couple that works out of their garage, so their hours are kind of iffy. But we've got a lot of bicycle talent. There actually are a large number of bike riders in central Indiana, even though you only see the mammals, middle-aged men in Lycra. But there are quite a few bike riders, and the bike shops are really good. They're kind and wonderful people, and they want to help out. And these are people who are living their dream. This is their passion, and they love to share it. So if you need a local bike shop, go to our website. There's probably one within a few miles of you.
Rhoda, please.
Damon, I have a several-part question that all relates to the same thing. If today I wanted to start doing this, I would be worried about crime in the city. Obviously, I'd be worried about parking my bike and having it be stolen, but even more so, I'm more physically vulnerable on my bike than I am, in my car. It's still not safe, but when I read every morning about shootings in all these different neighborhoods, it worries me. So what is your organization doing about that, number one? And number two, what are you doing to educate motorists about how, to keep the bicyclists safe?
Well, interesting, the crime thing, because the research shows that neighborhoods that have bike riders have lower crime because life looks different at 12 miles an hour. And people who bike ride through their neighborhoods see a lot more, and crime doesn't like to be seen. So it actually helps to reduce crime by having more bike riders in your neighborhood. What we do, we have a class we teach called the Bicycle Friendly Driver. We teach it mostly to businesses that have people who drive as a part of their job. So we teach them how to look out for bike riders. They're on the streets more, so they're the best ones to start teaching. And our class was recently approved by the Marion County prosecutor as a alternate sentencing option for people who get traffic citations. So we teach classes to folks so they can get out of their points on their license. So our piece in that is we try to get more people riding, and that's what we do through all the activities that I talked about earlier. And as you get more people riding, you will start to see reduction in crime, an increase in health, an increase in personal affection. People feel better about themselves. So it all kind of works together.
Gail, you had a question.
As far as getting shot at, if you're not cheating on your spouse or dealing in drugs, you're probably okay.
Adele, I got nothing behind that, by the way. Adele, you had a question.
Yes, great presentation, Damon. I'm one of those people that got back on a bike after about 25 years of being off a bike. I don't ride to the extent that you do, but I love to get out and ride about 5 or 6 miles a day if I can. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and as you know, Columbus has some amazing bike trails and some amazing bike infrastructure here. And I wondered if you had any connections here, or if you have any organization here like what you do in Indianapolis. I might be able to connect you with a person who has a bike shop here in Hilliard, Ohio, a private bike shop, huge bike advocate.
Actually, you have an organization there in Columbus called Yay Bikes, Y-A-Y, Yay Bikes.
Yay Bikes, okay.
Yay Bikes is my sister organization. And actually, when I started in this job, I came to Columbus and spent a couple of days with the folks there, looking at how they do what they do and trying to figure out how to build a program here that will allow us to grow. Mm-hmm. So look into Yay Bikes, and I know the woman who was the director when I visited isn't there anymore, but that's the organization to talk to.
Very good. Thank you so much. I love my bike, and it was one of the best decisions I made to graduate from college after 43 years and get back on a bike after 25 years. So
one of the things that I do in cycling is I am a tour guide for Adventure Cycling. Adventure Cycling is the largest bicycle touring company in North America. They were the original Bike Centennial group. And every time I lead a group, I'm amazed at how old many of my riders are and how incredibly fit they are. Mm-hmm. And I've been told more than once by some of these really old bike riders that bike riding is the closest thing we have to the fountain of youth.
Amen.
Okay, Damon, you're pitching it pretty deep, buddy. Pretty deep. David Garrison.
Yeah, Damon, do you know what an elliptico is?
Yeah.
Do we have any elliptico shops in the area? Do
No,
not.
but we do have some elliptico riders in the
Do
area.
you?
Yeah.
You ever ride one?
I've played with one, but I can't say I really rode it. The elliptico and the trike bikes, I'm fascinated by them, but I can't get myself to really go there.
Well, when your knees or your butt give out, this is a fabulous. Sorry, Keith. This is a fabulous exercise. It's actually more exercise than biking because
it is.
You're standing up and you've got to use your core to stay balanced.
It's sort of like cross country skiing.
Yeah, it's a great exercise. It really is. Yeah.
Okay, I give up on my group. I don't know what we're running anymore. Knees and butt. Okay, I'm good. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? We got other body parts, people. Anybody else got any questions?
Full transparency. When I see someone sitting on a bike, my butt hurts. So
okay,
I cannot sit on a bike.
Okay.
No. The answer to that is you just haven't put in enough miles yet.
Never gonna happen.
All right, Adele, please.
One more question, Damon. If I may ask, how many bikes do you own, sir?
I just need one more. I personally own 4 bicycles and a spare set of wheels because when I went to my wife got into cycling as I was getting into all this stuff. And by the time I went to her to say I needed another bicycle, she asked me, what do you need it for? And when I explained it, she said, well, couldn't you just get another set of wheels for that gray bike? I said, I've taught you too well.
Very good.
What he didn't say is like bikes that Damon likes cost as much as little cars.
Not true.
Okay.
Not true. My cheapest bike cost me $200.
Your cheapest.
My cheapest bike.
One.
My most expensive bike, I probably all in. I'm still not too bad. I may have $3,000 in that one.
Okay.
But
that's why his wife wanted to know, did we need another one?
But you could easily spend $20,000 on a bicycle. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would unless somebody's paying you to ride it. So
no. Hey, anyone else have any other questions for Damon this morning? Good. Hey, Damon, before we get out of here, can you give us your information again and just put it in the chat? It'll also be in this recording, Damon. So that'll be part of it, if you would, please.
You bet.
Part of being in business, people, is making sure that we cover all the bases, not just business, but this quality of life issue. It is part of why people make decisions to live in certain places. So yeah, that's a business decision. Also, as I said earlier, we must take care of our health. You can duck it if you want to, but that health issue is for real and it's live and it's every single day. That's what I'm finding out. You have to deal with it every single day. And the person I'm dealing with talking about my health says, Keith, don't you eat every day? And I go, yeah, then you need to deal with your health every day. I couldn't say anything. I'm a fat boy, so there was nothing I was going to say about that one. So,
can I throw one more?
Yes, sir, Damon.
I want to talk about what would be a good lead for me.
Yes, sir.
I am looking for businesses that appreciate the value of having healthy employees, would allow us the opportunity to come in and do some education or put together some cycling events for them. I'm also looking for sponsors, always. Sharon knows if you're in the not-for-profit world, you're always looking for sponsors. I'm looking for people who want to go out and ride. A lot of people are interested but afraid, and we can assuage that fear. We can give them the skills they need so that they are not as afraid, and we can get them out on their bikes.
Thank you so much, Damon. Thank you, guys, and appreciate your comments. And we just need to continue to focus on taking care of ourselves, quality of life, and stay in business. But it's fascinating to me, Damon, that you made a life decision in the middle of the rain, that you were stopping doing whatever it was you were doing and decided to do something else. You weren't with us last week, but we talked about second act careers. I don't know if I would have been able to do what you did, but it happens. It does happen.
It wasn't my plan, but you have those sparks, those moments, and it's like, this is something I got to do. And the surprising thing to me was when I came home and told my wife, I said, Suze, I can't go back to work. She looked at me and said, I was wondering how long it would take for you to figure that out.
Rhoda, please. Not a problem.
It's very interesting that Damon and I first met through Toastmasters. So we really go back for almost the majority of his life in terms of certainly a third of mine. But, remember that we've been a group for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And so I had known Damon from before that, maybe 5 years before that, in Toastmasters. And because of that experience, he referred me to somebody because he said, you can write and you can speak. I know that you do these things. So it was really a very interesting thing about this group. And it's one of the reasons that I'm so committed to the continuation of this group, because you don't ever really know where, as the same way that Damon didn't know where things were going to take him. And I certainly didn't know where things were going to take me. And it's all been tied up with CBN.
All right. Well, thank you. So with that, good people, I will be seeing you next week. We have a speaker for next week's schedule. Like I said, I am looking for the last 2 weeks in October, though, to find our speaker. Once again, if I can't find a speaker, I'm definitely going to give somebody a phone call whose head I see on here right now and say, tell us about your business, right? Once again, you've got to spend time telling us.
You have 2 prospects from me that.
Right. I'm doing outreach now, but I'm also wanting the people whose heads are on here. Talk to us, right? Talk to us. So with that, good people, I'll see you. Damon, thank you so much. Bye-bye, people.